Hi, and thank you for your purchase of the Ultimate Annual Budget Planner. In today's session, I will take you through exactly how the planner works and what data inputs that you are required to put in to the actual spreadsheet in order to get the most out of it. The first tab is the instructions tab, and this is if you want to read through those actual instructions on how to use the spreadsheet, you can by all means go ahead and do so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you all the way to the bottom is the different months of the year as well as the actual annual dashboard. I will come back to the annual dashboard towards the end of this. If you look here at the moment, there is no data in the actual spreadsheet, so all the graphs and that are currently sitting at 0. So no worries about that. Once we start populating the data, that is when we'll start to see the information pull through. And the same then goes for each month. So what we want to head over to is the data section. And we can over here and we'll set up the actual amounts for each of the months. The way it's been set up is this description column over here is completely editable. You can then change and set your description that is particular to your either income or your debt or your expense or your saving, which is right down at the bottom. So go ahead and rename those as you wish. One other item that is editable over here is the actual category, and that falls under the debt and the expenses section. So not so much under debt, but under expenses side, there are various categories that you can assign to a description that you have created or renamed on the right hand side, and it's just as simple as selecting it from the left hand menu, and it then becomes the category for that particular description. I'll return that one back to children for now. But if you were going to add any other debt, column number 2, and then that will then pull through to the various reports. So scrolling back up, so how the budgeted area actually works is you can enter an amount that pertains to that particular description. So if child support, you were getting $1,500 per month for that, you would enter that, and the spreadsheet will go ahead and populate every other month at that same value. If those values change at any point in time, you just head to that particular month and you go and update it. So salary wise, let's say that you earned $5,240 or $247, but in June you had a bit of an increase and you went up to 5,550. Everything prior to that period will remain at what you set up it in the January amount, but everything after that particular month will now pick up your newly revised amount. So go ahead and set up each of the amounts for your budget. And once done, I will show you exactly how the rest of the spreadsheet works. When you get to the debt section, the idea here is what is your monthly repayment for each of those items. So what is the minimum repayment amount that you need to contribute to your credit card? So once you've entered all the amounts for each of the descriptions that you have for each of your expenses as well as for your income, etc., you can then head over to the month in which is in question. You can either start in January or, as in the case at the time of this recording was August. It doesn't really matter too much, but I will go back to January, and on the actual fields over here, just having a look at this particular dashboard, you can see that our cash flow summary dashboard has already started to build, and you can see that we've got our debt, and that will total a value of $1,565. Expenses, these are all our budgeted amounts that we've already totaled. So our expenses total 7,726, and our income is currently sitting at 10,772. The actual cash flow will actually start to build and populate once we enter in the amounts for our actual spend in that particular month. Having a look at this top field, so what we can see over here is that we have a built-in formula that one picks up our budgeted income. So that would be the same as the amount that we've got over here. Just mouse over it to the right place, 10,772. You can see it's the exact same amount. And what this will compare is your budgeted income versus your actual income that you receive. At this stage, we budgeted to receive the 10,772, but we haven't actually input any values in the actual. So at this point, it's kind of flagging that our budgeted income is far higher than what our actual income was for this particular month, which means that if you don't bring in the actual amount of income that you were expecting, then the rest of your budget could be in jeopardy. So looking at expenses, we'll have a look here. The similar kind of thing will take place. At this point, it is still fine. It is not highlighted in red, and that's just listing our total expenses. But if our actual expenses for the month exceeded the expenses for that particular month, the actual ones for the budgeted, then that would actually turn into red as well. That one does. On the debt side of things, once again here, our debt repayments, we have budgeted way more than what we've actually contributed towards, but those will change. So these little flags here will give us an indication of whether we over or underspent. As it currently sits, our budgeted excess funds to invest or spend is $1,356, which just means that our income exceeds that of our expenses, which is what we are expecting, and you have additional funds to either contribute towards debt. So we head over to the income section to actually update the actuals for that particular month. This section will only pull through the fields that we actually put in a description. So where it is either blank or other, it will not pull that information through. And at child support, we will indicate how much we actually received for that month. We may have only received 1,250, and this will already give us an indication as to whether we are over or underspent on this particular line item. Because we were actually anticipating to receive 1,500 but only got 1,250, we have a negative difference of 250. So our online business, however, went better this month than anticipated, and we made 500. You can see there our difference there is a positive 250. So we'll go ahead and we will do that for all of our income in this particular case, and that'll then populate. So where you receive exactly what you had budgeted for, there will be no value displayed, or there's no difference. So go ahead and populate that for each of the line items, whether it be the income, savings, your actual, or your debt summary, and then we will have a look at the rest of the dashboards. Once you've populated the actuals for each of those categories, you will then have another dashboard in this section over here, which give you a breakdown of your cash flow. So you can see from an income point of view, you budgeted that amount, you actually received that amount, and which happened to be a difference of $5 to the negative for you on that particular line item. Savings will be the same. You had a difference of 25. You didn't spend as much there. Expenses, you had a savings of $180 there that you didn't spend as much as what you anticipated for that particular month. So that it looks good. As well as on the debt side of things, you have paid less on your debt side that was required for that particular month. Having a look at the cash flow summary, you can see here with your budget versus your actuals. So the pink area is what is your budgeted amount, and the purple is what your actuals was. And you can see where you have either over or underspent, or whether you're on target for those particular items. The actual cash flow area, this will give you a breakdown of that your income forms 54% of your total budget, which is a nice thing to have when your income exceeds all your savings, your debt, and your expenses. Expenses in this case only forms 38%, and your debt only 8%. A nice little chart over here that helps you out will give you an idea as to your top 10 expenses, the ones that you spend most of your funds out of that 38%. You have the majority of, or your top 10 expenses are going to be those 10 that are listed there. It'll also give you a breakdown of what that cost is. So in this case, mortgage or rent, as expected, would probably be your highest, and then the rest of the items then fall under there. You can see that groceries, fuel, clothing, etc. make up the rest. The nice thing about this particular chart is that if you were looking to cost cut anywhere, these are the items that you would want to be looking at to achieve the biggest result, as in trying to claw back your expenses and have put that additional funds towards either savings or to your debt. Here you can see our taxes have changed since our last discussion. And you can see now that our debt here, we didn't pay off all our debt for that particular period in time. So therefore, that is why it's highlighted here. We didn't pay enough. And our savings, we didn't save as much as what we had anticipated for the month of January. And you would go ahead and do that for every month. You'd go February, you see that the budgeted amounts will all pre-populate based upon the data tab that we updated right in the beginning. As well as then you would once again just come and input your actual amounts for that particular month, and everything, those graphs and those bar charts, etc., will all populate. We head over to the annual dashboard. We have a similar income, expense, debt, and savings listed right here at the top. And this will also give us a breakdown over the year as to whether we are coming in on our income, expenses, our debt, and our savings. Cash flow summary, we'll look at this over a year. Our budget is that how much we anticipate to earn over the year. Because we've only entered in 1 month's worth of data for the actuals, this is where it is sitting at the moment. So at 10,767, right? But for the year, we anticipate that is 131,000 is what we'd actually earn. And the same then goes for our savings, our expenses, and our debt. Will give you an indication over the year. Here we can see on the income summary, this gives us a breakdown of all the components that actually contribute to our income. Because we've only entered in 1 month, this will give us what looks like a monthly amount, but it will total up for each of the months once we start populating additional months with data. And this will give you a breakdown that your salary makes up 49% of all your income. Your online business is currently contributing 5%. So if you were wanting to increase one of those or take away reliance on, say, a salary, and you wanted to increase your online business, or you had a second job which contributed to your wages, then you know where you could focus in order to grow your income. We scroll back down to the bottom, scroll down, we'll have a budget versus actual expenses. And what we've got over here is, once again, our top expenses for the year. You can change this value. So if you wanted, say, the top 15, you go there, and now you'll have 15 items that are actually listed. Head back there, you can change it back to 10, change it to 5. You'll only have the top 5 that are listed over there. So you can kind of expand or grow that as much as you want. Here you can have a look, and this is where those categories came back in right in the beginning, where we were categorizing our expenses. So when you look at the categories over here, children, those kind of things, back over here, you can actually see you spending 29% of your costs on housing, debt, food, those kind of things. Will give you a breakdown where all your money is getting spent on. Over on the left-hand side, we've got a cash flow summary chart. This will give us our budgeted income of that 131. Because we've only got 1 month entered in, this figure will grow with each month that you actually input your actuals. You can see what your difference is, and you can also see what you achieved for the year to date. So currently with 1 month input into there, you can see that we've achieved 8% of our budgeted amount, which means we're pretty much on target. If you were to go and achieve the 10,767 for the rest of the year, and that'll actually give you a little bar graph chart of what it looks like, which months you were up and down as you continue to populate them. Expenses by category, this is just another representation of that pie chart over there. This will give you a breakdown of your top expenses, what percentage of your income that contributes to. So your housing contributes to 25% of it, and also what percentage of your expenses and your debt. So of all your debt and expenses, that actually contributes to 29% of your expenses and your debt, but only 25% of your income. And then it'll go through the rest of those categories over there. If we scroll over to the right, here we can get our income summary by month. You can actually see over here that in the month of January, we budgeted X amount. We actually received that amount, and we had a difference as close as 100% achieved. That'll give you a breakdown. You can see over here for expenses, we had an expense budget of 7,726. We actually only spent 7,546. We had a difference of $180 to the better. and therefore we only spent 98% of our actual budget. And then that goes through then for the rest of the actual debts as well as the savings. It'll break it down each month for you. And as you populate the actuals in each month, then this will continue to populate and for you. You can actually have a look at our budget balance overview. Here you can see that we've got our budgeted amounts. You can see there's our salary increase that we input about halfway through the year, and that grows up there. And what we can see that our actual spend at this point, actual budget at this point, was slightly above what our budgeted amount had been, and that will continue to grow and develop as you input for each month. So that is your annual dashboard. Hopefully that gives you an overview of where your expenses are on a monthly basis and how you are tracking towards achieving your goals for the year. Once again, thank you very much for making your purchase of the Ultimate Annual Budget Planner. If there's any questions that you have, by all means, just either drop a message in the Etsy app, or you can just leave a comment in this particular video and I will get back to you. Till the next time we chat, have a great day.